Well, I'm going to continue educating myself on what the sock puppets are up to. I want to listen to them. I always find interesting information if you can bear listening to these, but I finally figured out after all these years the best way to do these is by just taking one agenda item at a time. But before we do this, what is this? Oh, that's I need that, but hold on here. There were a couple interesting stories that came out this week. For example, this one. TriMet commuter asking for answers after getting kicked off the train.
TriMet commuter tells us she was kicked off a train during the height of the storm, and tonight we're on your side, working to get answers from TriMet to find out why this happened. K2's Megan Allison joins us live now at the Gateway Station in Northeast Portland.
Megan, tell us what you've learned after that woman got stranded.
Yeah, right. Olivia Huerta tells me she was trying to get from Portland's waterfront over to her home in Fairview, starting her commute around 4 o'clock on Wednesday, right as the heavy snow was starting to come down. Huerta tells us she took a bus and then 2 trains before ultimately ending up here at Gateway and reaching out to her family for help. Huerta tells us she started on an FX2 bus, but became concerned as people packed on, especially because it took 30 minutes to reach 3 stops. From there, she walked a half mile to get on an Orange Line train, and shortly after that, she learned the track was blocked, so she disembarked and walked 15 minutes to Pioneer Square to get on the Blue Line. Huerta tells me she took that train to Gateway, where a conductor said a car was stuck on the tracks, they were ceasing service, and there was no shuttle to help. She says another employee shooed people off the train, saying they were no longer in service.
So, Megan, you reached out to TriMet. How did they respond to this?
Yeah, Deb, I actually just got an email back from TriMet in the last few minutes answering some of my follow-up questions. They were saying that if an employee actually asked people to get off of the train, that was a mistake, and it's something they're going to be investigating in their follow-up review. Now, they did share a statement with us as well, saying that there was a number of cars blocking MAX trains during the storm, and one even ran a red light and hit a train. Staff there tell us because of that collision, they had to turn trains back at this Gateway Transit Center, and commuters heading towards Gresham could not move any further down the line. Now, the statement went on to say TriMet will be conducting a full review of their response, and they plan to work with local partners on ways to address these kinds of emergencies in the future.
We've heard this over and over and over. Nothing's going to change. It's going to always be the same. In 20 years, the same thing happens over and over and over. The same answers over and over and over. Now, the part of this story that let me see this. KATU made several attempts to speak with TriMet on camera, and they declined because they're chicken shits and they don't want to go on camera. And that's how they roll over there, folks. So, yeah, we know what was happening, those of us who listen to the scanner. Incredible suffering was heaped on drivers and riders. Didn't get any coverage. You got just shills, all of the shills. It's just amazing listening to it. And all of the mainstream. Although the mainstream picked up a couple of these stories. Now, there's another story here. What's this one?
So I was mapping out a 25-minute walk to a friend's house at that point. And, but I had that. Other people didn't. Other people were probably without phones. I saw travelers with all of their suitcases. They couldn't really move anywhere. And it was just pretty frightening that, that there wasn't more thought and care put into the fact that people could have gotten seriously hurt and in a not so dramatic sense, endangered their lives.
Yeah, and why they didn't leave the train at the station with the heat on for those people to sit on is the real thing. But also, not only did that station, this is a KATU on this one, I believe, yeah. But KPTV picked up. So I was really
demanding better preparation for the next winter storm.
I was impressed to see that this is a driver that spoke out, because you hear Dan just over there and his 100,000 followers. It's just I have to see it because he's got TriMet in his tweets, the word TriMet. So when I go over the TriMet timeline, I'm listening to all of it. It's just maddeningly frustrating. because, he's just Mr. Everything is great. Look at us all. He's got all those people. And it's not helpful. He's not helpful anymore. People like him, they stop change from happening. They stop change right in its tracks when they're just shilling for whatever agencies they work for. I mean, it's too bad because there'll never be any change as long as the shills are driving the conversations. But anyway, here's a driver that spoke up. Watch.
A bus driver for TriMet is telling all to Fox 12 and claims drivers aren't equipped for winter weather and that something needs to change.
Fox 12's Adrian Thomas has the story.
A TriMet bus driver we spoke with says drivers for the transit agency were very unprepared for last week's harsh winter weather. TriMet also giving us a response about this driver's concerns. You may have seen stuck TriMet buses during the worst of the winter weather last week. Speaking to us anonymously for fear of being punished, a TriMet bus driver claims chaos could have been avoided. They say many of their colleagues were left stranded on metro area roads last week.
We weren't really told anything ahead of time of the winter weather, other than winter weather was coming, and to be safe out there. They were completely caught off guard.
This driver showed us winter safety information all TriMet bus drivers have access to, but the driver claims TriMet bus drivers don't receive hands-on training for winter weather safety, such as deploying drop-down chains, which TriMet says are temporary chains that can automatically attach to the bus's tires at the touch of a button.
They failed. Okay, they didn't work. It doesn't work. Well, look at it. It's the silliest thing I've ever seen, actually, when you look at it.
During the early hours of a snowfall, until drivers can make it to a transit center to put on heavy-duty chains when conditions get worse.
And they're using the same chains that they did when I was there, and they're always breaking and causing trouble. The chains don't last. It's just unbelievable what a rinky-dink operation it is.
Switch in the back that has to be turned on in order for the chains to work. Most of the time, those are deactivated because TriMet doesn't want their drivers out there using those because they don't really train you on them.
But according to a TriMet spokesperson, new drivers receive classroom training on winter weather safety, including drop-down chains, and 95% of TriMet buses have these chains available. But during last Wednesday's storm, a TriMet
obviously they didn't work.
Spokesperson says there were 15 older buses on the roads that do not have the drop-down chains. A statement from TriMet regarding the use of drop-down chains during last week's storm reads in part, quote, "During last Wednesday's event, the snow fell much heavier than was expected, and we experienced rapidly deteriorating..."
And of course, no Sam Desue. They send out their flunkies. Sam Desue hides in his office there.
Conditions which reduced the window of time in which drop chains would have been effective. But for the driver we spoke with, they tell us TriMet needs to do more to make sure drivers are better prepared.
The majority of us, or a lot of, especially the new ones, new drivers have never driven anything bigger than a minivan, let alone in winter weather.
Yeah.
And here you are with a 40-foot bus with 30 people inside saying, hey, keep it safe and keep it on the road with little to no preparation.
And the driver we spoke with also telling us they're hoping after what went down last week, this will lead to meaningful reform for TriMet's bus drivers.
It won't. I can tell you that right now because I see the same thing over and 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 over. It will not change anything. It's going to be a replay of the same old thing. And while we're at that, let me show you a little quick clip of something. As you can see, I watch a shitload of fucking videos. Where is it? Let's see. Oh, here it is. Lock and Rose, one of my heroes.
We are live. We're live.
Okay.
Somebody actually results in justice and kindness. So it's more like...
I want you to hear this.
Okay. So, the topic for today, which is actually an offshoot of a different discussion that was happening under a post that she did, is the hazards of being too nice. And I'm already going to complain about my own title because kind of inherently being nice is what results in justice and kindness. So it's more like the hazards of being too polite and passive and gentle in the face of evil. And
the way you could describe that as being too nice to the wrong individuals and directing your niceness where it doesn't belong.
Yeah. And the result isn't just, oh, you wasted your niceness on a bunch of buttheads. It's you actually helped to harm people you should be nice to by way of being nice to buttheads. So I'll start with the political context, even though...
All right, what he's saying here, and this is what I say all the time, why are you being nice to the TriMet Board of Directors? They're sitting there fucking you, okay? They're fucking you over. They know what they're doing, and yet you hear these polite people like, thank you so much. Thank you for listening to me. And what he's saying is, as long as this tactic of always being like polite and nice, you're never going to get any change, just like Dan's shilling. As long as he's out there shilling with all of his 100,000 followers, nothing's going to change because everybody's under this impression it's all great, and it's not the exact opposite of that.
This is just as true on an individual basis. Like, you can see people doing this in their own private lives, and you can certainly see people doing it politically. There's the obvious thing that decent people and people who understand voluntarism in particular understand the non-aggression principle. We don't start fights. We don't attack people. We try to be polite and nice and all that. And so that makes this natural, kind of unavoidable paradox that you have the nasty psychos who don't mind initiating violence and robbing people and defrauding people, and then the good people who are very hesitant to resort to force or even like rudeness, right, much less shooting somebody, which they should be. And that's why I'm not sure there's exactly a solution to what.
Anyway, I don't want to get bogged down in this. But it's a great presentation by one of my favorite YouTube channels, one of the lead anarchists in the country, Lock and Rose, and he's saying, why are you being nice to people that are screwing you? And he's right. Why are you being nice about this? They've left you out on the road for 12 hours freezing, and you're going to be nice? You're going to talk nice about this? They stole they gave me a promise of retirement benefits. They lied to me. Am I going to be nice? And this is all the problem that we Americans have. You know, we're too polite to the people that are actually literally killing us. All right. On that, let's go right back to this, where these people are responsible for your suffering, which has been going on for 2 straight years. And now, on top of the suffering, they want to raise your fares. So we heard on our last episode that TriMet got $15 million for $15 million worth of useless pork barrels. There's never-ending money for things that no actual citizen can use. You look around you, we are controlled by a cartel of psychopaths who steal our money and distribute it to their pals while we suffer. And this guy right here is one of them. And they pay him richly to do this.
Thank you. Director Gonzalez, you had a question?
Thank you, Director Bauman. Not so much a question as much as a comment with regards to the update on the security personnel enforcement updates. Andrew, thank you for that update. It's great to see progress being made on a conversation we only just had. It feels like not long ago, from the reimagining work to the progress being made today in enlisting folks. Having those folks step forward as we did, I think it was 2 board meetings ago, was monumental to begin to put faces on the kind of work, the people doing the work and the kind of work they do. So my ask is, as we move forward and evolve this practice, I really encourage you and the team to keep tabs on the outcomes of this work. I like to know that we're getting up on the numbers and we hope to get to 160 ahead of schedule.
What's he talking about? I don't remember what Desue was talking about.
That's wonderful.
He's commenting about something Desue said.
I think what myself, the board, and the public will really want to know, on the heels of, I think, some of our public testimony today hinted at it, how is that work playing out in the real world? Are we able to start monitoring, how many referrals were made by our team to other non-TriMet kind of services?
Yes. We want to hear some result of your goddamn crisis team interventions. Let's hear the numbers. They never tell you anything specific here. I think he's talking about that.
How many enrollments were supported for the low-income fare program?
Exactly.
How many folks were enlisted in the Riders Club? How many smiles, how many hugs, how many stickers were handed out? These are the little things that I think...
Yeah, well, I think he's right. Yeah, we want to hear numbers. We want to hear exact details of what they're doing out there. I agree with him. Yes, good point, Ozzy.
Will help us begin to bring visibility to the work and really start to bring that message out to the public that we have a system that is there for your customer experience. It's going to be safe and you will be supported in all your questions.
Oh, isn't he cute?
Thank you.
Yeah, well, he's right. Hypothetically, he's right. All right. Look.
Very much. We will definitely, every quarter, actually, provide the board with an update.
And you never hear any of these. Okay, I'm like a broken record. You'll hear these board members bring up things, and then the managers will say, "Yeah, we'll get back to you," and then we never hear about it again. And you'll see this play out over and over and over and over and over.
On that work and that performance that you just talked about.
Thank you. And to the greatest extent, utilizing our communication streams to let the public know. I think when there are good stories, more than once a quarter, and it's not just for the board, I really believe the public at large will be really interested in feeling.
I tweeted Ozzy when he was doing Twitter. He doesn't do it much anymore. Why doesn't the TriMet main Twitter, which has 70,000 followers or something like that, tweet the board meetings? They do not tweet the board meetings on their Facebook or on their Twitter, their main big accounts with thousands and thousands of followers. And when TriMet tweets some silly little feel-good thing, they'll get 100 responses on that. But they won't tweet the important stuff on there. And we know this is intentional. It's not something I'm making up. They intentionally don't want them to know. They do not want their public to know these meetings are happening. It required the Secretary of State's audit to even get them to do this. Me and Jason McHuff were making these meetings public for years, like 3 or 4 years, before they actually did it themselves. Two obscure nobodies were making the stuff public. I mean, you go to the Rose City Transit YouTube, you'll see meetings from 2007 and stuff there, long before they were transparent.
This new experience. Thank you.
Can I just add? Absolutely. Thank you, Director Gonzalez, for that. And I will say that I'm excited to bring that report back to you, as Sam mentioned. And
yeah, I'm sure we'll see it again. We'll never see it again.
You will see some additional media related to, particularly some of our teams like the safety response team here recently. We have some great data to share, so we're really excited to bring that forward.
Let's see it. Bring it up.
So at a future meeting.
He said they got great data. Where is it? Bring it up. Why don't you bring it up now if you have great data?
We'll be there. Yeah.
I saw Director Way's hand first, and then Director Edwards, please.
Oh, we have questions.
Thank you. I don't mean to put Andrew on the spot, but I'm just curious because we know that safety has just been a huge concern for, many different writers from all walks of life. And so I was just wondering if you can answer this question.
Speaking of safety, let me find this one thing here. Look at my fantastic collection of TriMet material. Hold on, wait. Okay, I don't have to go through. I'm going to show you something here about safety. Look at these idiots. Hold on. I'll find it. Just a sec. Okay, it's coming up. Here we go. Right here. Jesus, I can't even read that. This is their safety. Can you read it? In February, TriMet Transit Police Division conducted 4 public safety missions. That's 4 for the whole fucking month, by the way. 28 days in a month. And targeted crime and livability concerns on TriMet property and in neighborhoods adjacent to. So this had nothing to do with TriMet property because it would have stayed on TriMet property. The cops conducted 2 missions at the Rose Quarter, one near Gateway, so not even at Gateway, and one at Transit Center. The mission at Gateway Mall 205 focused on retail theft. What does that have to do with TriMet? 40 people got arrested? How the hell do they arrest 40 people? Okay, for what? It's stop and frisk, it sounds like. Is that legal in Portland? Probably. I mean, it's a totalitarian police state here. Merchandise and seized drugs, including fentanyl and methamphetamine, as well as a illegally possessed firearm. Due to the success of the mission, Transit Police are planning a similar one for early March. Yippee. Transit Police Division conducts retail theft missions? What does that have to do with TriMet, retail theft missions? These missions create a safer and more secure environment for riders. Yeah, sure, I don't get it. I don't know how, but whatever. We interrupt criminal activity in those who use public transportation to commit crimes. I mean, this is how they make safety. They have 4 missions, which is like ridiculous. Why aren't you spread out on the system, riding the train? Why aren't you stationed at major transit centers? That's what you should be doing if you cared about the transit system.
On what would, if someone was not speaking English as a first language, how would we go about assisting them?
Yeah, excellent question, Director Way. We do have bilingual team members throughout our systems. I think I've shared some of the percentages related to the safety response team, although I don't know that I've shared some of the other percentages on the other teams. I'd be happy to do that. If we have somebody that doesn't have that language, we do have language line available, and that happens occasionally where folks will call in. It's a little cumbersome, but it's the best we can do with a lot of languages being spoken out there on the system, but they are all very well versed on language line use, and they use it daily out there. But we do try to find folks that speak the languages of the community as much as we can. I think I shared a little bit about some of the languages available to the SRT, but we'll continue to go that direction, Director Way. Thank you.
Thank you. And I just also want to say, yes.
All these goddamn fare inspectors out there making like $45 an hour to wander around all night.
Obviously the language line is important as a resource, but also applying a culturally, responsive lens, I think, is also very important, as well as, providing continued diversity, equity, again, culturally competent trainings, just because there's thousands of people, right, who use our transit every day. They come from different cultures, different communities. So the more that we can make them feel also safe and welcome on our transit system, the better all of our experiences will be. So thank you.
Yes, lovely, Kathy.
Director Edwards.
Thank you. I wanted to piggyback on what Director Gonzalez was saying about getting feedback, not only from our personnel, but also getting feedback from the public. I think that's critical to know how, we are impacting the ridership with our new teams when they come on, and if it's making a difference at all. I think that's critical, especially when you have long-term riders and they can say, hey, this is making a huge difference, or it may not be making a huge difference. My question is there a possibility of letting us as board members know when the training or orientation is going on, when you're bringing on new recruits, so that we could possibly attend a part of that training?
Good for you.
Absolutely. Yeah, we can make that happen for sure. And we're doing a lot of really good training related to de-escalation, understanding in
I don't know. It's hard to really judge from my point of view. The drivers are not particularly understanding. I know that much. They're not, you want to look at some, I really don't want to talk about this. Deke just wrote a post that I found offensive, actually. And I do believe he does speak for most of the operators when he's writing these things, how the miscreants are running Portland and we have to throw them all into some concentrate. Yeah, it was very offensive. I know the operators are not particularly understanding of anything. I don't really know enough about. I've seen the inspectors bully Eli, but he's auditing them and they don't like that. So they're just responding the way all cops across the country respond to anybody who's yes. Sorry, I got distracted. I forgot what I was saying.
inside the community sort of related trainings. So really good things, and we'd be happy to bring you in on those for sure.
Good for you, Edwards.
Just wanted to follow up to the comments about making sure that the public provides us feedback. Want to just make you aware, and we'll be talking more about it, that we are getting ready to perform a attitude and awareness survey where we're going to go out to the public and seek their feedback across the organization.
Yeah, and you know how the surveys are bunk. I don't know how many times I have to tell you that. They always, the language they use is never black and white. They always reword the surveys to get the responses they want.
In general, and we'll focus the safety and security aspects of it. And this is being prepped for the first half of this year to be able to do that.
Look at him, do you see his little moose over there?
Any other questions or comments from the board? Thank you.
Well,
thank you for the report. Thank you, General Manager.
Well, that's I wanted to hear the next part, but that's enough for today. Yeah, okay. Over and out for this episode.